ultralight fabric, carbon fiber frame stays, and a $368 price tag. Is the Outdoor Vitals CS40 the pinnacle of ultralight backpack design, or is it priced higher than it needs to be for what it accomplishes? Today we're looking at everything good and bad about the CS40 in order to find out. Let's start off by talking about what's good about the CS40. First of all, the weight. It weighs 765 grams for the size medium that I have here, and that's due to the materials that it's using. It's using Ultra 200 fabric for the main body of the pack, which is a very ultralight but durable fabric. And then it's using carbon fiber stays for the frame. So you have carbon fiber stays that are running through each side of the pack, and they're contoured in order to be ergonomic for your back. And I found that the stays are very effective at transferring weight to my hips, and the fact that they're carbon fiber saves you an ounce or two compared to something like aluminum stays. We'll get into the carrying capacity of this pack a little bit later, because there's some interesting things other than the stays going on with carrying capacity and how this pack was designed. There's a lot of great features with the CS40. You have zippered hip belt pockets on either side. On the right one, you have a little key clip, so you're not going to lose your keys when you're out on trail. And then the zipper is easy to use with one hand. I can open it and close it with one hand, no problem. And I can fit a large cell phone in there, even Lenny and Larry's cookie. So nice size for the hip belt pockets as well. As we move up the shoulder straps, we have a sternum strap, then load lifters, which again, we'll talk about a little bit later. At the top of the pack, we have a grab loop, and you have a top strap as well in order to just kind of lock it all down. You could also use this top strap in order to strap on like a sit pad or something like that. On the side of the pack, we have compression straps or compression cord here, just in order to keep the pack nice and tight if you are carrying it below capacity. It is a 40-liter capacity, and that's for the internal volume. It holds a lot of weight. I've used this pack fully stuffed, and it holds everything that I need. And if you're looking at 365 grams for a pack, you're probably more on the ultralight side of things. And this pack's gonna be very versatile for you, even in shoulder season when you may have some bulkier gear. The side pockets are really quite magical. They are a little bit stretchy. They're made of that Ultra 200 fabric, but they drop them a little bit lower compared to traditional pockets, which makes it very easy to reach back, grab your water bottle, take a sip, and then put it back. I have short T-Rex arms and inflexible shoulders, and I can reach water in my side pockets, no problem. Something that I think they should do in maybe an iteration is make the opening a little bit bigger at the top. If you have two water bottles in there or just a wider base to your water bottle compared to something like a smart water bottle, it makes it a little bit more difficult to put back the water bottle once you're done. But you still can, you just have to kind of finagle a little bit. They have an ice axe loop here as well. You could also use it for storing trekking poles if you want. And then a giant front mesh pocket. This thing's gigantic, very stretchy. You could fit a ton of stuff in here. Outdoor Vitals would say not to. They recommend not stuffing this because it kind of throws off the balance of the pack. But most people out there are probably gonna be stuffing a bunch of lightweight stuff in here, like a rain jacket, maybe a down jacket, things like that. But yeah, I talked to the designers, Brigham and Tayson, and they're like, yeah, please don't be shoving lots of heavy stuff in this front pocket because it's just not going to carry as well. With all these outer pockets, you get an additional 12 liters of volume. And then, like I said, 41 liters of volume on the inside. And I found that to be perfect for 2 or 3 day trips where I'm packing a ton of stuff. But you could easily take this on a through hike where you're packing 7, 8, 9 days into this pack, and you'd be no problem as long as you're more on the ultralight side of things and in summer season. So on to the carrying capacity for this pack, because I think that's one of the most important things for a pack is how comfortable is it when you carry a lot of weight in it, and how much weight can you carry? It's advertised as having a carrying capacity of 35 pounds. That's where Outdoor Vitals thinks kind of the sweet spot is for the upper weight limit, but I've had over 40 pounds in here, and I've been comfortable. I find it carries weight very well, and that is due to a few different features that the pack has. Like I said, there's carbon fiber stays in here. They are contoured for ergonomics, and they transfer weight really well down your hips. But the reason why that the pack transfers weight down your hips so effectively is due to the load lifters and their positioning. So they're positioned higher than your shoulder, and that's essential. You want about a 45-degree angle on the load lifters in order to effectively transfer weight down your hips. And that's essential because if the load lifters are not above your shoulder, then they're not going to be lifting the shoulder strap up and then transferring the weight of the pack through the carbon fiber stays into the hip belt. The weak point for carrying capacity with this pack is going to be the hip belt. In order to keep the pack as lightweight as possible, they use a pretty lightweight, not a very stiff foam, and that's not going to be able to transfer weight as well to your hips or be as comfortable on long days with a ton of weight. Something a little bit thicker, a little bit stiffer would be better, and that's something that you see on packs like the REI Flash 55. But it's a compromise, and I think the foam was actually chosen quite well in order to match the capabilities of the rest of the pack. It'd be a little bit silly if you had an insanely stiff, thick foam that added weight to the pack that could carry 50, 60 pounds, but then you had a pack that weighed 765 grams. It just wouldn't line up. And I think that's something that is really important with the design of packs and tents and other backpacking gears, making sure that all the features work together towards a common goal. And I think that's something that the CS40 does really well. Before we get into what's bad about the pack, let's go through the packwizard.com comparables. We have the Dursing Kakwa 40, which is going to be quite comparable to this pack, a little bit less expensive. And then we also have the Z-Packs Arcall, which is going to be much lighter weight, but much more expensive. So you kind of have the CS40 in this middle ground between the Kakwa 40 and the Arcall, and just do your research. I haven't used the Kakwa 40, hopefully down the road, but the Arcall is a great pack. You're just going to be paying a pretty penny for it. So what's bad about the CS40? First of all, the price. It's $368, which is not cheap for a pack, but you're getting a lot of high quality materials. I know that Ultra Fabric is not cheap. Carbon fiber isn't cheap. And then they went with as high quality of materials as they could in order to achieve their goal of making a high quality premium ultralight pack. I don't think there's anywhere with the CS40 where it would have made sense to compromise on performance or the quality of the materials in order to save a little bit of price. You probably would have ended up with a much higher weight. So you are going to pay some money for this pack, but I think it's probably worth it if it fits your needs. The other thing, like I mentioned, the foam on the hip belts isn't super padded. So for some people, that's not going to be as comfortable as a more padded hip belt, but I do think it matches the carrying capacity and the performance of the pack. Just something to keep in mind, especially because you can't really try this pack out at a store or anywhere. Check out this video if you want to see a review of the Outdoor Vitals Oblivion sleeping pad. It's been a crazy surprise for me. I think it's one of the best affordable value options for a sleeping pad out there at just over $100, but with performance that definitely punches above that price point. But there is a specification for the Oblivion that is way off from the advertised that was very surprising to me, and I get into a little bit more about that in the review.